Welcome to another episode of the Manufacturing Executive Podcast. This show is being brought to you by our sponsor, Cadenas Part Solutions. I'm JoeSullivan, your host and a co-founder of the industrial marketing agency Gorilla 76. Obviously, 2020 has presented a lot of challenges, and among the biggest of those challenges that I've seen in the industrial sector is that so many manufacturers rely on trade shows to generate pipeline. Well, here we are, headed into Q4 and looking ahead to 2021, wondering when will all these in-person events be back? And when they do come back, will they be as valuable as they once were? Will they draw the same crowds that we're used to? Will there be distancing efforts in place that will make them feel different, less social? Do we want to invest at the same level that we have in the past? And what kind of ROI are we going to get on these shows anyway? Well, regardless of how big or small you are, or what industries your business touches, these are probably the types of questions you're starting to ask if trade shows have been part of the mix for you. So today I'm going to do a solo cast, just me drawing on my conversations that I've had with manufacturing leaders since things got crazy earlier this year. And I'm going to share my best advice with you about 3 tactical things that you can physically do to replace the hole in your marketing and sales funnel that's being left by the absence of trade shows in the foreseeable future, at least. How you can do some of these things in a way that mitigates the loss of face-to-face human interaction that's really difficult to replicate outside of in-person events, and how you can use technology to make some of this less intimidating. I'm hoping this is both helpful and actionable for you, so let's jump into it. Back in March, as the COVID situation really began to take shape, I wrote an article titled, "While the World is Upside Down, 7 Things Sales and Marketing Can Do." 6 months later, I don't have to tell you to consider shifting your production lines to making hand sanitizer or face shields, but a lot of what I published in that article still really applies. So for the purpose of this podcast, I've condensed my list a bit. I'm going to run you through 3 tangible ideas for how to reallocate your marketing budget to keep a steady flow of leads coming while trade shows can't help you do it. So let's start with number 1 here. The first one is make the shift from brochure marketing that's all about you to genuinely helpful content marketing that's about your prospect. The bottom line is this: your prospects care about themselves, so we need to stop talking about ourselves. Instead of saying this, we sell the world's best blank. Here are some of the incredible features, blank, 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 and blank. Also, our our customer service is unparalleled. You've never worked with people like ours, and our competitors a bunch of phonies. Instead of saying that, let's do marketing that sounds more like this: we help blank achieve blank when they're struggling with blank or trying to achieve blank. Now build your marketing strategy around those things. Instead of filling your website and your social media channels and brochures and outbound emails with typical propaganda about yourself, I'm talking about creating genuinely resourceful content that answers the most common questions your prospects and your customers have, and addresses their most common problems and helps them achieve their goals. This type of content is so powerful because it helps you get found in search engines when people are out there looking for help with these things. And it helps you earn their attention and their trust, and it opens the door to sales conversations. So think about who knows your customers the best inside of your company. Your engineers, your sales professionals, your account managers, the people on your team who interface with your customers every day are typically the ones who understand them the best. These experts on your team see your customers' problems and their challenges in action all the time. So have conversations with them. Learn what those problems and challenges are. Tap into their brains and pull out the amazing insights that are stored up there. Interview your experts. Turn the camera on if you can. And then record your interviews using Zoom. Publish those videos on YouTube. Break them into smaller videos and use them organically on LinkedIn or in other social channels. Put a budget behind those same small videos using LinkedIn or Facebook, and tell the platforms to show those videos to people with these job titles from these types of companies in these geographic regions with these interests. Transcribe your videos using a transcription service like SpeechPad or Rev.com and publish the text in your blog, or hand that text to a professional copywriter and let them turn it into a written piece of content. Break down that long form text into little snippets that you can use in emails. The possibilities really are endless here. But the biggest point is that you can't fake great content. It all starts with your company's experts and what's in their brains. People, you can build your entire marketing strategy on this platform. I guarantee you that. In its simplest form, all you're really doing here is 1, focusing on your best prospects, 2, creating amazing content that helps with the things that they care about the most, and 3, getting it in front of as many of those people as you can through inbound, through outbound, and through paid media. At Gorilla, we've built our business on this strategy. We do it for ourselves, we do it for our clients, and it works. So if you want to learn more about how to extract expert knowledge to create content, I recently interviewed our senior copywriter, Toby Wall, on this podcast, and he breaks down how to do it. I recommend listening to that episode. Okay, so that's the first thing that we can be doing here in the absence of trade shows and without being able to be face-to-face with customers and prospects, and make that shift from brochure marketing to genuinely helpful content marketing. So let's go to number 2 of 3 on this list of tactical things that you can do. And that is market to your existing customers. Seems like a really obvious one, but it's often overlooked low-hanging fruit. I'm often stunned by the answers I get. In fact, when I ask these 2 questions specifically during strategy workshops with new clients. 1, how big is your email database? And 2, how are you currently using it for marketing? And answers to that first question usually go something like this. Oh, I don't know, maybe we've got 2,000 or 3,000 people in there. A bunch of them are stored in people's Outlook accounts. And then the typical reply to question number 2, well, we're really not doing a whole lot with email. We sometimes send out an e-blast before a trade show, which, as we're talking about now, aren't happening, to let them know we're going to be there. Or maybe we send out a press release from time to time. But I guess my point here is that your email list is gold. I mean, we're talking about people here that already know you. And for many of you, they also like and trust you already. This really is low-hanging fruit. So let's go pick it. Try delivering an email twice per month, making use of that same amazing content that you're creating that we were just talking about, extracting those insights and knowledge from your experts. That content doesn't have to be just used to attract new people and generate new leads. It's often just as relevant for the people who already know you and like you. And it's a way to build additional trust, to stay top of mind. Delivering an email twice a month and being in inboxes of your contacts regularly, when you're delivering genuinely valuable resources, it's a very different experience for them than you being in their inbox with press releases and all kinds of stuff about you. The latter is what's probably is going to generate unsubscribes and eventually will help you find your way into their spam boxes. The former, this idea of actually delivering value and insights on a regular basis is often welcomed with open arms. But you need to be helpful. You need to make it about them instead of you, and you need to create value. You do that, they'll listen. Okay, and finally, number 3, the third thing that I'm going to encourage you to do here in the absence of trade shows, this one's kind of for you sales folks, is learn how to do video-based prospecting. This is actually a lot easier than you might think. If you think about 5 years ago or so, sending a talking head video of yourself in a sales outreach email probably never even crossed your mind. But here we are in 2020, and the tools we have are both accessible and idiot-proof, and frankly, they're really cheap too. Just a few months ago, or I guess I should say earlier this year at this point, I wrote a thorough and really unintentionally well-timed article titled Video-Based Prospecting, an Easy but Comprehensive Guide. And I would recommend checking that out if you would find that helpful, or if this topic interests you more. It gets into the weeds, the fine details and the tools and technology and some strategies and tips around that. But in the meantime, here's a quick summary for you. So free or very inexpensive software tools, my preference being Loom. You can go to loom.com. There are other tools like Soapbox and Vidyard. BombBomb is one I've been hearing about a lot lately. There are so many tools like this that let you record yourself and or your screen right from your browser. You literally click a button in Chrome and you start talking. And these platforms will host the videos for you. So all you need to do is just push the button, start talking, say what you need to say, copy and paste the link right into your outbound emails. So more importantly, though, is the strategy here and the thinking behind why we would use a tool like this. And so I'm going to give you 3 reasons why video-based prospecting makes sense from my perspective. The first one is that video breaks through the clutter. When everything else in your prospect's inbox is long-form text, your video message is immediately different. The second thing is that video humanizes you. And this one I think is super important. This is a place where you can make up some ground that is lost by not being able to be in person with people the way you used to be on a regular basis, or at least in the short term, at least while we can't be traveling to trade shows. But video humanizes you. When the recipient of your email sees your face and they hear your voice, all of a sudden you transform from some guy or gal behind a curtain of words on their screen into a real human being. And the effect of that, impact of that, can just be so huge. So give yourself, it's not going to make up all the ground you're losing by not being in person, of course, but it's kind of the next best thing in a lot of ways. It's going to make you a real person rather than just a bunch of words on screen. Okay, next one. The third thing that I think video helps you do, it lets you say and show things that are often hard to do with text. You could walk through your facility. You could film a selfie of yourself or walk into your facility showing your equipment in action. You could record your screen sitting at your computer and point out what competitors are doing by having the screencast going on their website. You could hold up a product in your hand, depending on what it is that you sell, and tell them about it and the problem it solves. So you have something physical there in front of you. So those are a few reasons why video makes sense from my perspective in the prospecting process, specifically in this outreach process. You might feel some technology intimidation at first, and that's normal. I felt it myself the first time I used it, for sure. But the hurdle is a heck of a lot smaller now than it was a few years ago. And I think you can consider yourself lucky in that sense that we have these tools available at this moment in time. So take advantage of them. Be a pioneer there in your space. One thing to mention here is stage fright might set in when the camera starts rolling, but no one's watching your practice rounds. Remember that. Give it a few practice rounds before you do a real one. And isn't now a good time to be courageous anyway? While the world is really upside down and we've got to be thinking differently and trying new things. So let yourself get a little uncomfortable. And I think video is a great way to do it. If you're not sure how to build a list of prospects to physically deliver these videos to, check out the article that we published earlier this year titled 4 Ways to Build Your Ultimate List for Cold Outbound Email. And that one, all of these resources I'm mentioning, we'll link to in the show notes, and you can find in our Learning Center at gorilla76.com/learn. Okay, well, that kind of sums it up here. I hope this was helpful. Tried to keep it short and sweet, give you some tangible things that you could jump into and start working on. If you'd like clarification about anything I've said here, please feel free to just email me, joe@gorilla76.com, or message me on LinkedIn. You'll find me if you just look for JoeSullivan, Gorilla76 on LinkedIn. And I encourage you to go to our Learning Center, where we do our very best to practice what we preach, publishing purely resourceful industrial marketing content at least once a week. So gorilla76.com/learn. Finally, I want to say a big thank you once again to our sponsor, Cadinus Part Solutions, for helping make this episode possible. That'll do it for today. I hope to catch you on the next episode of The Manufacturing Executive.